Hello everybody, this is Chris and this is my channel Born on 11970, and I'm going to talk about something I have not talked about in a very long time, which is what inspired my channel in the beginning. And I haven't changed my mindset about this, but I've been not talking about it for a long time because it was stagnant for years, and there was no sense of talking about the same thing over and over again. Well, I want to tell people, and sometimes you don't want to be right. And still, things remain to be seen, and anything can change. It can flip around in an instant, and I would not be shocked if that's the case. But I want you to see, in the past 24 hours, price-wise, the jump that silver made. Now, of course, YouTube, if you see right here, this pops up. YouTube, if I hit OK, it's going to freeze and shut off the live stream. I'm smarter than them, so I'm not going to do that. So unfortunately, you're going to see this. If I even hit the X, it could completely shut down. So, there we go. If you look, this is July 17th of 2020. This is currently. So in the span of 2 days, 2 to 3 days, silver went from 19 down up to $22.32. It just broke 20 yesterday for the first time in 4 years. In May of this year, it was at $14.78. Those are some big moves. Gold is at $1,843. It's up 0.11% right now, but silver is right now at 4.5 to 4.6 and rising percentage. And you could see these trend lines, how it's shooting up. I've been trying to warn people for years, not because I just want to make videos, not because I was trying to use fear and things like that. I trust my instincts. And I focus on the long game. I still have all the gold and silver I've had since I made my videos, going all the way back to 2011. In my opinion, and I'm going to keep it at that, you can agree or disagree, that's fine. In my opinion, everything that's going on right now is a smokescreen to get people, like a magic trick, to look in one area while something else is happening in another. Distraction. And I fear, but actually I don't even want to use that word because I don't fear it. But I'm curious to see if all the things that I and many people have been warning about could be coming to fruition. Now, I'm not saying this whole situation that's going on in the world, and I'm not even going to mention it because YouTube hides 99% of my viewers from ever seeing my videos as it is. Okay, and I'm also posting, if you see in the live chat, I'm posting away if anybody wants to donate the Patreon, you can. I also, Bitcoins and all that fun stuff. The links are all in the description. If anybody can contribute, it's great because YouTube basically has destroyed my channel, but not completely, and that's why I always say the message will always get out. But in my opinion, I think everybody is being smokescreened right now in the world. Everybody's focusing on the new thing to be afraid of, the new thing to hate, the new thing to point your finger at, the new thing to be angry and scared about, waiting for CNN, MSNBC, ABC, PBS, all of these garbage quote-unquote news channels, waiting for the next thing for them to tell you how to live while everybody's under house arrest. In my opinion, what I've been warning people for years about the economy collapsing, I mean, look at all this money they're printing. You don't think they're printing money also for themselves? You don't think there are people in the higher positions or in government that are taking advantage of these things? We've already seen it in big businesses that are not supposed to get this money getting it. And that's the ones we know about. When you blow into a balloon, you know that if you continue to blow into that balloon, eventually, despite how far that balloon can stretch, that eventually that balloon will pop. The problem is you don't really know when that is going to happen. But you know if you continually put air into it without stopping, even if you take breaks from time to time, eventually that balloon can no longer expand and explodes. 99% of the people are going to be worried about what's going on in the world. If you want to be one of those people, you are more than welcome to. It's not too late to get on the train. Now, at one point, silver went down as low as $10 an ounce. Gold got down to roughly around 1,000. Well, it doesn't matter what was, it matters what is. And I'm showing this chart to show. And I'm going to show you something else that I find quite interesting. I looked up what was the highest price of gold all time. And here's what I found. The US dollar hit the intraday high of $1,917 on September 5th, 2011. 1917. Where do you know that number? Coincidentally enough, that is the year of the Federal Reserve opening. The very criminal organization that has stolen your wealth for over a century and continuing. Some will say these things are coincidences. I leave that for you to decide, but that's quite interesting that the all-time high, according to this website, and I could be wrong, there could be other websites, it could be off by a few dollars here and there, but the intraday high of 1,917, because I know it was somewhere in the 1900s, but look where gold is right now. $1,842. So under $100 away from its all-time high. Currently up $2.20, which isn't a major big deal. But what I'm focusing on mainly is the silver. Now, of course, there could be sell-offs. Or people can all of a sudden start realizing they need to jump on the train now if they've been waiting so long. And that's going to bring the price even higher. Now, one of the things I've said, and I will continue to say, is I never bought gold and silver to become wealthy. Because, especially gold is a hedge against inflation, which means it will keep up with inflation. So something that will cost, let's say, $100, with inflation could rise in 20 years, let's say, to $1,000, and my gold will still be able to buy that same thing. So it doesn't make you richer, it keeps up with inflation. So all of the people who are scared and getting all this money and, drinking beers and having parties and blowing it on nonsense, they're losing their value. Because if you put that money, if those people with all the stimulus money they got, which is hard to stimuli when people are told pretty much to stay home, but that's another thing to laugh about. The people that are putting their money in the bank thinking, oh, I'll save it. Well, as inflation rises and interest rates go up and things like that happen or can happen, and they start devaluing the currency because of all this money that everybody seems to love, all this free stuff, thinking there's no consequences as long as they get theirs, well, that devalues the currency, which means you need more of it to make a purchase. So whether there is deflation or inflation, they pretty much end up with the same thing. So I've always purchased it and tried to help people by telling people, don't use it as a tool to get wealthy. That's the problem with things like Bitcoin. People only care about it because it's monetary value. And as soon as people lose faith in something, that could disappear overnight. That's why I have no regrets. Because of your reasoning behind what you do. Now, that doesn't mean if you have gold and silver and if this continues to go in this direction, and it may or may not. I'm not going to sit here and say I know the future. But I know how people react and how most of the people react when things have already happened. If you're in the middle of a train track and a train comes, it doesn't help you if you are 1 second too late. If you left the train track 10 years before the train came, you had plenty of time to watch it go by. But if you wait 1 second too late to respond to that train about to hit you, you're dead. And that's why I've always said that I would rather be 10 years too early than 10 seconds too late. And for most of the people, they will not react until it's too late. You can say that's fear. You could say it's ignorance. It could be a little bit of everything, because this world is fear-based, as we see. But that does not mean you have to be a part of that unless for some reason you are here to experience fear so you can learn from it. So again, I'm just posting if anybody wants to contribute to my channel, because I've been out of work now for 4 months going. I highly recommend, first of all, stay away from the GLD and SLV, which is the paper stocks, because those are feeding the beast. That is feeding the system, because they manipulate it, because they can put out hundreds of different paper contracts that are backed by nothing. Again, the people that buy them are basing it on greed. But one day, if that shuts down, there are many people that are going to lose everything. If you don't learn from your history when it comes to things like the Great Depression, lots of people lost everything. So do you want to be the follower that follows the masses, or do you want to listen to the people that may not be the Bill Gates of the world, or the Donald Trumps of the world, or the whatever people of the world who have the power, have the money, have the ability to reach millions, but has other people's well-being in mind? And that's what I've always had, despite the negativity I've gotten in the world from people, despite the families and friends who continuously to this day choose to be willfully ignorant. I am always going to be prepared, because I base things on my instincts. I trust them. I don't question them. And it's steered me right so far. Not always in the short term. But again, I don't focus on short term. I focus on the long game. I am highly suggesting you may want to consider that for yourself and your family as well. These are times that are unprecedented, and have never been around in my lifetime. I'm sure not in yours either. So anything can happen, anything can change. But if you live based on what most people are doing right now, misinformation, which is their own faults because it takes a 10-second Google or Bing or whatever Ask Jeeves search to find information now. So there is no excuse for anybody who just sits in front of a television being programmed how to think. And remember, even the Nazis were just doing what they were told. Compliance. So I don't come to you based on fear. I come to you based on preparation and preparing for things before they happen. Like when this whole situation happened, what was the first 2 things that everybody went to the stores to get? Water and toilet paper. You know how many times I had to go to the store to get them? None. Why? Because I had them. Now, I've bought some more recently, because it's always good to add to your stock just in case. But never once did we say, oh my God, we're about to run out. We are desperate. We need to get something. Because when you prepare for any situation, like I've always said throughout my history of my videos, it doesn't have to be a world-ending event. It could be just a power outage. But if you're prepared beforehand, you don't have to be one of the many who will stand in line and pay whatever price just to acquire just a little bit to get through the day. If you think that's a great way to live, by all means, free will allows you to do that. So, silver has gone up over 10% today. That is a giant move. And you see it's continually going up. Now again, that can change in an instant. But from here to here is a span of about a day. When was the last time you saw moves like that? That's telling you there are people that are fear-based purchasing. I highly suggest you don't do it based on fear. Nobody buys car insurance and says, oh my God, I got to get a car insurance right now because what if I get into an accident? What if I die? What if somebody falls out of the car? No, you just say, all right, I am going to buy car insurance for my car, so if I ever am in an accident, I am covered. See the difference? This is something, if you love people in your life, now you can't force them, you can't make them, and many will not listen. You can't save everybody, unfortunately, when it comes to free will. You can put your hand out to save somebody, but if they don't jump up to grab it, that is their choice. But if you are a caring person, it is under your best interest to do all you can to highly suggest and recommend things that will benefit those that you love, or at least respect, or at least are connected with in some way. Silence means they don't have the option to make, and you're leaving it up to others who may have an alternative motive in mind. Now, if you've been following my channel for years, I don't claim to get everything right. I don't claim to say and do everything right. But you can see, as they say, by their deeds you shall know them. Yes, I have my few haters here and there. It happens on both channels. People are allowed to hate. If they want to view something they hate, that says more about them than it ever does me. But if you see, my track record is all about trying to help people the best I can. Which means sometimes I might give advice that may not work for you, or may not be right, or changed, or I misunderstood the information, or maybe I was just really earlier ahead of my moments at that time. But I've never tried to purposely make any video to purposely hurt and mislead somebody to take advantage of them, because I'm not selling my gold, I am not selling my silver. So even if you wanted to buy it, you're not buying it from me. So I have nothing to gain from you taking these steps if you haven't. So let me see how many people are actually listening to this. Right now there are, and again, I have 47,000 people that are supposedly subscribed, which YouTube prevents from ever getting my video notifications. I hear it all the time. But there are 30 people with 11 likes. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comments. So that should tell you everything you need to know about how few people will either get this information or care to listen to this information. So I know that this information is not going anywhere. But I'm protected, and if it resonates with you, you're protected. Now, what I would highly recommend is paying it forward and trying at least to recommend people pay attention to what is really important. And let them make the choice. If there are people in my family and my friends that I'm walking away from, not because I don't love them, but because I cannot force anybody to do anything, including listen. And if they're unwilling to do that, and they choose for whatever reason to live in fear and shut themselves out of the world, that is their choice. But I at least gave them the option to have something else to think about, to question. And Mike Hunt, thank you very much for the super chat. That was very nice of you. And Steven says, do super chats help me? They do to a certain extent, because to be honest, YouTube takes about 30% of a super chat. So YouTube gets 30% of that donation that Mike just made, simply because they can. If you look at my description, I have like a Bitcoin thing. I think I have a 100th of a Bitcoin. And I have a Patreon account, and I think I put in another thing. But let's put it this way. It's not the dollar amount that I appreciate. It's the giving. It's the caring. It's the thoughtfulness that I appreciate. Even if somebody can't. Because I've never sat here and said, that's why, like, for example, my Patreon. You're not going to find any exclusive video there. You know why? I don't want somebody to think they have to pay me money to get information. I give everything freely because it's important. So, the charts are telling you right now, and this was the U.S. market and now the Asian market making these moves. And it could all be erased tomorrow. I am just seeing what I've seen throughout the years, it would not shock me. But I haven't seen a move like this in a very long time. So silver right now is around $22.23. This was July 20th, 1921. So it's going up over $2 in a day. I really hope people will keep their eye on the ball. I've said this before. All of this happened. I've been saying it for years. Government is doing distractions. They want people to pay attention to the wrong things, to focus on the wrong things, because you can only print money for so long. Well, it's not even money. You can only print fiat currency, debt notes, for so long. The economy is stagnant right now. You really think banks are going to be generous to give out other than those quote-unquote free loans? If you think these things are free, well, people are going to learn about that real soon. It may not be tomorrow, may not be this year. But there's, eventually you have to pay the piper. And you could be one of those that is stubborn and say, oh, I'll just, not listen, and I'll listen to CNN, and I'll go with the fear base. I won't question anything and just do what I'm told, so I'll be safe. But if you're a betting person, I would not bet that will get you the best happy ending. If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And the world is being programmed to think that it's other people's jobs to take care of them. So if the saying is true, if you want something done right, you better do it yourself. You're being programmed to do the opposite. So that means it's not going to be done right because you're not doing it yourself. It is easier. And a lot of things that harm people are based on the laziness of some, or the naivety and trust of others, or the greed of some, because it's different people have different motives. Not everybody is evil. Sometimes mistakes happen out of good intention. But if you're drowning in good intention, you're still drowning. So, here's what I'm doing. I stay away from all paper assets. I collect and invest in physical assets. Not only do I invest in the gold and silver, but I also have been, since 2015, investing in a lot of comic books that are worth decent amounts. None of them are worth millions. But hey, you never know. You can dare to dream. But my point is, I have physical assets. Some of the biggest things that people were buying and selling during the Great Depression were things like art. If the computers shut down, good luck using your bitcoins. Good luck getting money out of the bank and the ATMs if they're closed. That's why I've always said, make sure you have plenty of food and water and supplies. Not because you're scared and you're going to die and the whole Alex Jones, the world is going to end kind of BS. But because it's better to have than have not. I have enough cat food because right now I'm taking care of 13 stray cats. Doing it proudly. Because it's nice to care about things other than yourself. But I have enough food for them to feed them 3 times a day for at least a year. All of them. Preparation. It's a wise move. Unless you're basing it on fear. Then it's never going to work out. If it's based on greed, you have maybe a 60-40 chance. But I trust my instincts, and I know that what I believed in back in 2011, to a certain extent, I still believe now. Or no, I won't even say believe. I will say no, because again, I trust my instincts. So I wanted to show this video because I think it was about time I've done a video about this, because many people subscribe to my channel because of my gold and silver. But again, for years it was stagnant. What are you going to do? Say, oh, today it's stagnant? Because then I'm just making videos to make them. What you do with this information is 100% up to you. You could say it's total BS. You could say, oh, I'm wrong. You could say whatever. That's your choice. I'm sharing this information. What you do with it is up to you. I know that no matter what, and I just saw, sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat, but Steven just did a super chat, so thank you. That you guys are really nice about that. The idea is, if you want humanity, you have to be human, which means you have to have empathy. You have to care. Sometimes you got to know when to walk away. You know the song, know when to walk away, know when to run. It's more than just poker. Put the information out there. Give people the chance to make their own decision. If they choose the wrong one or choose to ignore you, that's on them. And one day, if we are right and they are not, I hope you have enough to help them. But people have to be able to help themselves, and they're not willing to do that right now. And there is always a price to pay for that. Now, to me, a price to pay is a learning lesson. That's why I've always said, and I've learned over the years, as you see that this channel, especially if you've been following for a long time, I had another channel before this one, and I shut it down because I let all the hatred get to me. And I did that on my other We Love Comics channel too. But I've learned to grow. And I hope you will as well. And that's why I share this information. If you base it on greed and fear, they're the wrong reasons, and they tend to not work out right. But if you base things on the pureness of your heart and trusting of your instinct and your gut, and you know what you're doing is the right move, it will be. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. And that's okay. Because trust me, the day gold and silver skyrocket to the moon is the day the world's in a pretty bad place. Which means many people are going to suffer. So that's not always a good thing. But again, everybody has the same opportunity to do what they want. You can research anything or nothing. Who do you think's going to learn more? The person that did all the effort to learn all they can, or the people that just didn't want to be bothered? So there are always consequences for your actions and inaction. And I've been trying to teach that for the longest time. Not because I'm bored, not because I need people to like me, not because I have this desire to become famous or anything. It's because it's the right thing to do. Not everybody always appreciates something until after the fact of what somebody's good intentions were. So question your own intentions. Why are you doing what you're doing when it comes to anything in your life? And be honest with yourself. Listen to your heart, not your head. Your head is your ego. It will guide you in the way of self-preservation. It will make you question your heart. Never question your heart. Your heart is always right. Doesn't mean you'll listen to it, but your heart is always right. My heart says all the things I've done will pay off. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to work out for everybody else, but it will work out for me. It's helped me to survive all of this time. And I've learned to never question my heart and trust my gut. What you do with this information is up to you. I want to thank everybody for listening. Pay attention to the gold and silver prices. See where it's going. That's one heck of a big jump in 24 hours. Let's see where it turns out. But again, gold getting pretty close to all-time highs. Many people made fun of me, especially when the prices started dropping for a while. And I always said, I'm not worried about now, I'm worried about the future. Well, he who laughs last laughs best. But I'm not here to laugh at anybody because I don't want to see anybody suffer. But if that's their learning lesson of why they're here in this 3/4, potentially going on to a 5th dimensional plane, and they want to think that's crazy and they don't want to pay attention, that's on them. When you go to school, nobody forces you to learn. But I promise you, the people who pay attention are the ones that become more successful. But a person's success is different. You don't have to be a multi-billionaire to be successful. Some will disagree, that's fine. And you can always better your life. And that's the funny part. You'll never reach perfection until there is once again a singularity. So until then, you will always strive for perfection, which means it's an unobtainable goal. But you can make the best of who you are and be happy with that. If you're never happy with what you have and always want more because you need to fill a hole for whatever reason, then what is your purpose of living? What's your goal? What's your end game? Be careful out there, ladies and gentlemen. Don't believe everything that you hear. Now, to prove my point, I'm going to show you. See this error message that's been here the whole time? It only happens when I talk about stuff like this. So YouTube listens to my channel, blocks it. They can't completely block it, so messages are getting out there. The more they hide people's stuff, the more it's awoken people, because even the most asleep are starting to question, why are they blocking things if it's untrue? Watch when I hit OK what happens to the program. You ready? Have a good day.